Hi, I just bought this RF demo board on AliExpress. I actually wasn't planning on getting it, but it was fairly inexpensive, so I bought it last minute along with some other stuff. This board will come in handy for testing VNAs. So in this video, let's actually use one of my nanoVNAs and test out the board to see how well it works. For those who are interested, I will leave a couple of links in the video description below so that you can check it out. Now, the first thing I noticed is that the connectors are these UFL connectors. These connectors are actually tiny. Here I have a picture showing the close-up, so hopefully you can get a better glance. You can commonly find these kind of connectors in laptops and other consumer products for Wi-Fi connections. Now, I understand why this kind of connectors was chosen for this demo board, and I think the main reason is that they're so tiny and they don't require a lot of space. And of course, they're a lot cheaper than the standard SMA connectors as well. But unfortunately, these connectors are not designed to be connected and disconnected all the time. In fact, the typical mating cycle life is only rated for around 30 times. So if you are using the supplied cable and connectors and test out every single pattern on this board here, you probably won't even be able to get around twice before the connectors start to wear out. Now, with that said, you can probably connect many more times than the specified numbers. It's just that the specifications won't be guaranteed. And if you turn it over, you will see that on the back of the board, you have this Smith chart you can reference. Very nice. Anyway, let me use my nanoVNA-FV2. Among all the other nanoVNAs, this is actually one of my favorites, and I had reviewed this nanoVNA a couple of years ago. Let me leave a link to that video in the video description below if you wanted to check it out. I realized that there's some reflection on the screen here and it's difficult to see. Later on, I'll probably angle it so you can see it better. But anyway, the first thing we wanted to do is to calibrate the setup. And it is important to calibrate with the supplied pigtail cables. Use the short, open, load, and through ports on this demo board. And this is because the S11 and S21 are referenced at the point of calibration, and in our case, would be at the end of the UFL connectors. So if you used a different length cable for the calibration, your amplitude measurement might be okay, but the phase relationship would be messed up. So you would not get the correct display on the Smith chart. All right, let's start the calibration. Now, because the majority of the tests are under 40 MHz, as you can see here, we only have a few outliners. One is for this high-pass filter, which is 100 MHz, and the other one is for this band-pass filter, which is 433 MHz. Besides these two, everything else can be done within 40 MHz. So I think what I'm going to do is do two sets of calibrations, one from 1 MHz to 40 MHz, and the other one from 90 MHz up to 500 MHz. Now let me connect one up. And you can just see how tiny these UFL connectors are. I wish they had included a removal tool. Since I don't have one, I will just need to be careful. Hopefully we can get through this video without damaging the connector on the board. First, we're going to calibrate open, and let me just zoom in. You can see that it is very difficult to actually put a connector on. So I just have to be very careful. Yeah, you can see it clicked. All right, so now open. Okay, so the next one, we're gonna connect it to the short. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier. This kind of connectors are really difficult to remove without a special tool, without damaging it. So we just need to be careful. And let's put on short. And it should be snapping on. Yep, it snapped. Okay, so now let's calibrate short. And now it's load. For the through, we have to connect the other one as well. So now let's connect through. As you can see here, it's definitely not as easy working with these kind of connectors. Okay, one is on, and the second one. All right, so now it's our through calibration. So now we're done with this calibration between 1 MHz and 40 MHz. So let's save it. All right, so the first test is the S21 of the first low-pass filter here. As you can see here, the traced filtering curve is actually not exactly what I was expecting, because you can see here, essentially we started from 0 dB here, and we just go straight down. And we don't really have a flat region up to about 30 megahertz. Right now you can see we're right about 17 megahertz, we're already almost 20 dB down. So definitely this filter curve is not what I was expecting. And I suspect that's probably because of the quality of these cables and connectors. And that definitely had additional attenuation here. Anyway, so that is the first testing here. For the second test, we're looking at this band stop filter. You can see here, BSF. That essentially is a notch filter, I believe. And I think what they're using here is essentially a ceramic oscillator. So let's take a look at what we got on the nanoVNA. Not surprisingly, we actually have multiple peaks, and that's because the frequency span is between 1 MHz and 40 MHz. But the first notch we get is actually 6.46 MHz, which is what is specified. And let's see what the second notch is. So this would be some harmonics. The second one is right around 21.28. And you can see we also get a third one. And the third one is right around 35.7 megahertz. And this is actually why I think this kind of demo kit is useful, because if you don't do testing yourself, sometimes the characteristics of these kind of filters are not well understood. The next one we're looking at here is this 33 ohm resistor, and you can see we should see a dot right here on the Smith chart. And if we were measuring the SWR, it would be 1.5. So let's take a look. So you can see here on the Smith chart, indeed, we're seeing this 32.6 ohm, which is fairly close. And let's change it to SWR. And you can see that we're measuring 1.53. So that is indeed pretty much spot on. Now I just switched the S11 measurement to the 75 ohm resistor here. And you can see that SWR is measured at 1.49, which is pretty close to the 1.5 nominal value. And let's go back to the Smith chart. You can see that we're measuring 74.5 ohm. So that again is in line with what is printed on the demo board. And here you're looking at a capacitor. Now the chart does not quite match what is on the board here, and the measured value is 105 picofarads. On the board, we don't have the actual capacitance value. And the next measurement is an inductor. As you can see here, we're measuring roughly 2.88 microhenry. Of course, we don't know the exact inductance value here, but that's an inductor. The next one we're measuring here, you can see we have a resistor and capacitor in series, so we should get a curve like this. And let's take a look. And you can see that indeed, we're getting something very similar on the nanoVNA. And the measured capacitance is right around 100 picofarads. Then the next one, we have a capacitor in series with an inductor, and let's take a look. And the measured result doesn't quite look like what is printed on the board here. You can see here is what is printed on the board, and here is our measured result. And here is an LCR circuit. You can see that we should be getting something similar to this, but the result again is slightly off, and that I think is also because of the values of these components. So let's take a look at the other one. And you can see that for number 12, we're not getting the exact same pattern either. But again, that is due to the actual values of these components. Well, it's still early in the morning. I haven't had my second cup of coffee yet. Obviously, the Smith chart measurement would depend on the frequency range for the component values given. And the stop frequency currently is only at 40 MHz, so of course, the results don't quite match what is illustrated on the board. Anyway, I just switched the frequency range to 1 GHz and recalibrated the nanoVNA, And now let's retest 7 through 12. We should be getting slightly different results given that upper frequency range has now been extended. Okay, so now let's measure this number 7 again. Now you can see that the curve extends much further up, and that's because now the upper frequency range is at 1 GHz. Now I assume when they did the board, the upper frequency range would be somewhere around maybe 800 MHz. As you can see that, now we're actually overshooting what was illustrated on the board here. Anyway, so that is pretty close. So we'll continue. Now let's actually measure the second one here, number 8. This one, you can see that it doesn't quite match. I'm not exactly sure why. It somehow abruptly ended right around here, then it became a straight line. I'm not exactly sure. All right, let's take a look at the next one. And this one, according to the board, it should be something like this. Now let's take a look here. And you can see actually we're pretty close. Let's actually turn off the S11 measurement here. And you can see that this one looks pretty close. Okay, moving on to the next one. And this one is number 10. Yeah, you can see that we're tracing most of the circle here. That is in line with what we're seeing on this board here. So now let's do 11. And you can see that that's a really close match. Very good. Okay, so now is number 12. Yep, we get essentially what is illustrated on the board. No problem at all. All right, I'm switching back to 40 MHz, and we will continue the remaining tests. And here we're testing the attenuator, number 17, which should be -5 dB, and you can see here, the measured result is actually quite close. It's -4.93. And here we're measuring the last attenuator, which should be -10 dB. Let's take a look. And you can see here, the measured attenuation is right around 9.8 decibels. So that's pretty close. Now I just calibrated the frequency range between 90 MHz and 500 MHz. And I did it off camera because the process is exactly the same as I had shown before, with a 1 MHz to 40 MHz frequency range calibration. And the first test I'm showing here is this high-pass filter, 100 MHz, you can see. Now, you notice on the nanoVNA, the capture result does not quite look correct. And here's the S21, you can see is fairly flat. Now, I could make the frequency span a little bit tighter. Let's actually try that to see if we can see any difference. So let's change it. Of course, now the frequency range might not be calibrated anymore, but let's take a look. So let's go back. Let's do, let's say, stimulus. The stop frequency, let's do 120, 110. Yeah, you can see definitely the filter does not look correct, as we're getting pretty flat here. Not entirely sure what's going on. And here is our last test. You can see this is a bandpass filter. Essentially, this is a SAW filter, and the center frequency is at 433 MHz. So let's take a look at the measured results. And you can see we're actually getting pretty close. Let's move the cursor here. And the cursor is right around 442.6 MHz, which is very close. And you can clearly see the filter characteristics from the S11 and also S21. Anyway, although some of the results are not quite precise, this is definitely a very useful board for those who are new into the RF stuff. It is actually a good one to have so that you can get familiar with S11 and S21 measurements. Now, like I said before, using these UFL connectors is kind of unfortunate, as they're quite fragile and are not meant to be mated again and again. Unfortunately, even just the tests we have done in this video probably already have exceeded the number of mating cycles specified for these connectors. But it's a cheap board and there isn't too much to complain about. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please remember to give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Your participation makes videos like this possible. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.